first heard of Shattered Dreams, I think it was sophomore year for me. And one of my friends mentioned it, and they pretty much told me what it was.
Shattered Dreams is a program put on each year by Frisco Police Department and the Frisco School District. And each year, 2 high schools are chosen to help produce the video portion of it, while Frisco Police Department normally produces all the live production pieces.
They host this program that's supposed to warn people of the effects of drinking and driving. And so basically they film the party scene, and then they show that video, and then the entire student body comes out and they see the live presentation of the car crash.
Usually what happens is you usually have 2 cars, one car that has your teenagers in it that are drunk, and then your other car that is innocent, 2 teenagers in it, whatever. Usually that they collide.
When I realized that Memorial was gonna do it, I think that was when I had just joined Memorial. But I really want to be part of it. There was this one moment, I think, when they were having a meeting with all the broadcast team. Zach got up there and he was describing how he had this vision for Shattered Dreams. He wanted to make a movie this time. He wanted to have it professional quality.
When we first started out, we were trying to figure out new ideas and new ways of presenting Shattered Dreams that hasn't been produced before.
A lot of times with like the Shattered Dreams programs, they always show the drunk driver and like the drunk teens, but they never really show the people that have nothing to do with it that are affected.
And we wanted to create something different with that innocent part, and so we came up with this idea of putting in a mother and a son.
We decided to bring in a child. We felt like that would have the most impact on our audience. It was different than any other school has ever done because it was scripted and there was a storyline to it with characters and personalities and goals.
And so then he got up there and he's like, so we need a writer. And I was just like jumping out of my seat because I really wanted to be the writer. 15 minutes later, they called me up, and then they talked to me, kind of quietly, like, Kaylyn, we want you to be the script writer for Shattered Dreams. And I was so elated. I was so happy. I just remember driving home that day and like having the windows down and being so happy about that.
Script writing is not anything that I'm good at. Thankfully, I had a student in class, Kaylyn Wilson, who is amazing at writing scripts.
They had this idea if we had like a mom and a son as the innocent party, and the son really had these like big dreams of going somewhere, and then that's when the crash happened, and we think that would have been really impactful. And so I just really took that story and I tried my best to add a bunch of context behind that so that you really get attached to those characters.
We had notes, Zach and I, the producer, that we gave her, and she took them wholeheartedly and made a positive change with them, and her finished script was just amazing.
As far as auditions go, I had this idea of what I wanted for each character. And so the day of the auditions, I was really kind of nervous. I found out that it's actually quite nerve-wracking for both sides, not only the actor that's auditioning, but the director that's auditioning the actors. We had people come in and it was actually less of a turnout than we thought, but it actually turned out amazing that there was less of a turnout because that means that we didn't have like, a ton of people to choose from, and so it made the decision easier.
When I auditioned, there was only, maybe 3-4 other people. So I felt a little confident. I was an actor. I knew what I was doing going in.
It kind of was perfect, because Connor walked in there, then Brandon were like, they're perfect for the part. Like, not only did they act it so well, but, we thought that they looked like a baseball player, that's what we're going for, kind of typecast kind of thing.
Whose house is it?
Yeah! Whose house is this? This is my house. My house.
And then Alexis, one of the sides, it was in between Corinna and Alexis' characters, and Alexis, she was on the verge of tears, and we were all pretty impressed at that. We're like, yeah, we think she's good for this part. And then actually, crazy story about Corinna's role.
The audition process for me was a little different than it was for everyone else.
So we originally chose someone else, but then that person unexpectedly dropped out. And so then we're like, oh my gosh, where are we gonna find somebody?
I wanted to be involved with Shattered Dreams because I thought it was a very important film that people do every single year, and it does a lot of good. Also, I have a younger brother, and I thought it was really important for him to see, hear, and know this message.
Unexpectedly, we ran into Corinna in the hall, and I knew her as an actor in the theater, and also she's just really mature. And so, me and Miss Keck were like, what about Corinna? She's a perfect contender for this role.
I originally auditioned to be the makeup person on behind the scenes, and I actually ended up talking with Miss Keck, and she thought that it would be a great idea if I came on as a character for the film.
And so we asked her, and she was, totally in, which was such an amazing thing that she would, volunteer. We're just so grateful for that.
I wanted to be involved because when I saw it freshman year, I saw how it affected people, and I wanted to be a part of something that would help people understand how dangerous drinking and driving can be, and how one wrong decision can affect an entire person's life, and more than just one. I wanted to help send that message.
The first time that I figured out I was going to be in Shattered Dream was I was on the landing in my house playing Minecraft while my sister Kaylyn and my mom were talking, and they just told me that I was going to be in Shattered Dreams, and I got kind of excited. They told me how serious it was.
My daughter, Kaylyn Wilson, asked me to do it. I don't really remember the day or time, but I do know that, I don't know, how do I say this? If your daughter asks you to do something like this, how can you say no? I mean, you have to say yes.
They told me that I was going to die. They asked me how I felt about that, and I said, I didn't really feel too bad. I felt fine. And then they told me that I was going to be in a body bag, and I was like, oh.
So I was pretty nervous about the whole thing and was sort of thinking, can I get out of this? But I knew that she somehow believed in me, so I had to go ahead and just say yes.
And brother Austin did an amazing job. Her mother was outstanding. Taking on a role of seeing her child die in a car crash is one that I probably could not have done myself as a mother, but she took it and she ran with it.
So, everything just kind of fell into place.
And so it ended up being the perfect cast.
There was nobody better to play the drunk driver and the girlfriend and the victim than the people that we chose to play those people, and they took on the role of those people and they portrayed them perfectly.
Action!
You'll wake her up.
Jackson, you of all people know how difficult it is to wake her up.
My name's Connor.
Cut.
Jackson? Flip the script. Wait, Will, you're just gonna say
script.
I know, I just
It's Jackson, okay? Okay, quiet again.
pulling.
Action!
Wake her up then.
Connor, you of all people know how hard it is to wake her up.
Guys, my car won't start.
What?
My car, it's not starting.
Brandon, me and Alexis came with you.
I know. Just go get her. I'll drive you guys. Come on. Let's go, Sandra.
I relate to my character, because I am the mom. I do this all the time. I take my children places, and it's always a tight schedule, and we're always in a rush, it seems.
I think I very much relate to my character. Doesn't go to a party, doesn't drink, wakes up early to go pick up a friend who made a little bit of a bad decision. Just a good older big brother. I think I relate to that very well because I am the oldest brother. The only thing I would say I don't relate to him is that I woke up early. That I don't usually do that. Everything else, I felt like it was very much me in the character.
I definitely relate to loving football. I love football. I play it all the time. I relate to my character also by having the same mom as my character. And then, yeah, I think that's about it.
I think I related most to my own character in the script. I think that the scene in the hallway when we were trying to get the test, I just thought it was really funny.
I think I enjoyed the most and maybe I'm a bit biased, but it was between the two brothers. That moment there, because I think that's when it really hits, like, oh, this kid has a future. Like, he's gonna be able to go places. He's gonna be able to do things. I think at that moment, that's when I first realized I was kind of like, well, wow, one of us is gonna die.
They all blended so well together, and you know, I really think that they played their parts very well. They got the story across very well.
Seeing the actors on set, each set, the classroom, the party scene, and the crash scene, seeing them all just inspired me.
For the longest time, nobody knew who was going to die. So they were like, wait, am I going to die? Who's going to die? There was all this kind of like, oh, well, you're going to die. Like, I think I remember Alexis talking about it a lot.
We really wanted our audience to not know who was going to be the victim at the scene. We had Griffin going to get his drunk friend from the party. We had Connor and his group of friends. We had another person leaving from the party, grabbing their keys. And then we had Mrs. Wilson driving her son to the game.
And so that kind of left everybody in suspense, which was that was great. That was fun.
The first scene that we shot was the party scene. And so that was crazy.
I was super excited because a lot of my friends were in it as well. And I was excited to do the party scene because it meant we got to spend a few hours after school just having fun, goofing off, and being ourselves.
We had a ton of extras on the set. They were all going crazy.
I have a lot of on-set experience, so working on set was not that new to me, but ultimately not having much of a crew around to actually help out with a lot of the different tasks, such as lighting and just an assistant camera and some other things that usually you would have on a larger set was different.
I loved the party scene. It was just a lot of fun to film and hang out with everybody. I loved meeting everybody who was behind the set, all the different police officers, everyone who came to help film. I thought it was just really unique setup since it was at an actual house and we were doing it at night. And all you see are like people crazy drinking, and then like right next to us are like 3 cops. And I thought that was just a really funny dynamic. That was fun.
It really did teach me patience, even more so, because, you know, you had to make sure that they were quieted down in this room, that these people were, you know, doing the right thing in the background while we shot this. There were so many details, and so it really did like just shake me into the process. Like, oh wow, this is real. Time to step up to the plate and shoot this together.
Kaylyn did an amazing job directing all of our actors and actresses. I definitely would have been able to direct them as well as she was able to do that.
Zach is methodical, he's meticulous, and he's a professional. He has the eye that you really want when you're putting a film like this together. And I really feel that Zach and Kaylyn work well together as a team.
It's been awesome getting to work with him because you know, just to have someone like, you know, side by side with me directing, someone who has the same, you know, vision, the same hope for the end goal was really cool.
We also have a lot of good people doing B-cam operator for us, and Zach's friend Bailey, who works as well for us. So as far as footage, I never worried about our footage intake at all.
It was just really awesome finally being able to step up to this professional level of, you know, director and cinematographer working side by side.
It's great working with the directors.
The directors were amazing. It really impressed me when we did the first shoot in January because the level of professionalism that was exhibited by Zach and Kaylyn was just amazing, and it was like they had been doing this all their life.
Miss Keck, she really has been like one of the most generous, sweetest, you know, directors I've ever had. It's amazing how much she wants to invest in me and all the people involved with Shattered Dreams and just everyone in her classroom.
It really takes a special teacher to put all this together. What I think is so cool is she encourages everyone to really excel and chase their passions, and then to offer her home to do the shooting in and to make us feel so comfortable and welcome both times was just amazing. To be able to act with Austin, of course, was a joy. That was really fun for us as a mom and a son. And then it was also really fun to act with Griffin. That was really fun, and he does a great job.
The quality of equipment we had, that's what surprised me. Like, I know a lot of it was Zach and his shirts being really good, but it just surprised me. Like, I walked in to the house for filming my scenes, and we just had like professional, like we had lights, we had a microphone, like the camera quality, like it all really surprised me.
The last catch that I have, it was a one-handed catch, and it was a pretty good catch. I'm surprised you guys got that on camera, because I was like, it's great.
Austin.
Yeah, so it's mainly just going
What you
from
think?
the conversation we had right here. And
How are the cinnamon rolls?
Amazing. During that time, we're going to close up on the piece, so we have it that way. So yeah, so just you could probably see like the last time I ever.
It's good to see you smiling and laughing because people are gonna want to know how you're doing.
So just stay.
I had just a great time with Austin. When we were playing catch, it was taking time to figure out everything, like what angle we want, the lighting and everything like that. We just sat and we just tossed the football and talked while that was happening. That was just a lot of fun.
It was cool, because, I know Griffin, it's just cool to, like, be with him on set.
I really liked the kitchen scenes. They were a lot of fun. Just kind of the interaction of speaking to Griffin and to Austin and making breakfast and running down that hallway, and that was fun. I enjoyed that.
And I really enjoyed working with Miss Wilson and Austin, Kaylyn, and all that. I really enjoyed doing that.
I also liked the scene with the alarm clock. You never realize you're gonna get filmed doing something like that.
Action.
Isn't Griffin talking here?
We're supposed to have. Here, bring it back at you so she knows when to start.
Wasn't Griffin supposed to come back in?
Yeah, but we weren't staged very. We didn't actually think it through. Okay,
Because I didn't hear chips, I didn't hear anything, so I'm like, maybe they just want some of the B-roll.
Okay, we'll actually do the right.
From the beginning, we thought that, the last portion of it was going to be live. And so we were really planning for that. And so that was really crazy when, the whole COVID-19 pandemic, interrupted things.
Everyone thought that we would come back after spring break, and then throughout spring break, every minute you're hearing something different every day. So then we knew all of a sudden the kids were not going back to school.
When COVID-19 actually did come to Frisco and whatnot, everything kind of halted for a couple of weeks. Post-production really slowed down in the actual film portion of it, and we weren't really sure what was going to happen with the live presentation of Shattered Dreams.
Because of the pandemic, a lot of things got canceled this year, and one of the things that got canceled was Shattered Dreams. I begged, asked, everything I could to not cancel it, but that was not happening.
It meant that we couldn't continue with the big sets, such as having the helicopters come in and the ambulances and all the police people.
I, of course, was going to be dead next to the car I've seen, and then taken up in a body bag and driven away in a hearse.
There was some nerves about that all being live, because you get one take and that was going to be it.
I was really looking forward to the funeral day, the day of the actual crash, where we got to see all of that, because that's when the real impact, I think, hits, is when you go out there and you see the dead bodies and you see the helicopter come down, you see the kids go to the morgue, you have the funeral on the stage.
They bring in life flight, hearses, police department, ambulances, and we didn't have any of that this year. Our live version got canceled.
Instead, Miss Keck really took it over.
One of them, Connor, had told me that everything had been taken away from them. Their senior prom, their graduation, Shattered Dreams, Powder Puff, all the fun stuff that they had looked forward to their whole high school years had been taken away from them. And this was one of those major things that was taken away from them.
We didn't get to go to the senior Six Flags trip we didn't get to do a senior prank, senior skip day. I know teachers make that joke, oh, you know, seniors outdid themselves, senior skip day, but it just kind of rubs it in with the fact that like we didn't get to do anything that we were promised.
I saw the look of sadness in a lot of their eyes when we met on Zoom to talk about this. I just felt like we could not let this go. So Kaylyn and Zach and I went to Plan B, which was to shoot the final scene and try to figure that out ourselves. In the process, I went to several salvage yards to try to find cars. I finally found a salvage yard in McKinney that said they would donate the cars. I just needed to pay for towing. So that's what I did. Found a makeup artist. I did eventually end up getting permission for the parking lot at Memorial High School with just the provision that we kept our masks on and stayed away from each other. We got all the stuff we needed to recreate the crash scene. A lot of props were ordered, whether it was a jail suit for Connor or blood or a bruise kit or a body bag. All that stuff that originally was supposed to come from Frisco PD now was coming from me, taking on the role as executive producer.
Action.
It was a lot to do, but what I did was I took it day by day and minute by minute. If I got told no in one place, I went to another place and looked for a yes.
I was so, impressed by that, by her effort and her generosity, because she pretty much, paid for everything herself.
And Miss Keck, what can I say? Like, wow. Like, I'm amazed that she just did all that she did to help bring the project together. It was just so nice that she pushed so hard and worked so hard, just tirelessly, giving her time and her money, just everything that she put into it, her resources, to make sure that all of these students had this opportunity and got to finish it, to have that closure, and that they're gonna have this for the rest of their life. Like, they can, this will be something that's lasting, and it's thanks to her.
Like, I was just so shocked and grateful that we got to finish it.
I wasn't positive what would actually end up coming out of this, really, and we really, I think, exceeded like what all of our expectations were.
So we had to change the name, and we all decided that Stolen Dreams fit the message as well.
I think with the way it actually happened, with COVID-19 kind of disrupting that plan, was actually so much better, because we were able to do the scene multiple times.
Everybody did what they needed to do to make the last part of the film fit the first part of the film. So ultimately, I think this version, Stolen Dreams, turned out better than it could have with the circumstances.
We just had to make it all into one big short film, so that means that we had to actually call all the actors back and all the directors back.
In a way, I feel like was even better, because we ultimately were able to actually make a short film from end to end without having to create a live presentation that goes with it.
You have a whole short film in its completion, and that seems like the best option, that everyone can watch and can be seen by so many people, the full production.
It turned out better than I thought, because I think with the live portion, like, it would have left out a bunch of story in the actual short film. So it's nice that it's all one short film now. I think it actually turned out really nice and polished.
So I think it was a blessing in disguise for Stolen Dreams to be changed in that way.
So to have to arrange all the crash scene and makeup and get everybody on board with social distancing and safety guidelines was a huge task.
The first time the makeup artist put up my makeup, it looked really realistic. Like, all the actors on the set were like blaming Connor because of what he had done, even though he technically didn't do it.
The makeup artist we hired, she has done a lot of makeup for police videos. She was amazing. She had the students looking like they had been in a severe car wreck just within a half hour to 45 minutes per student. She was just beyond belief.
So Kayla, she did a great job. She has a lot of makeup experience. She was sharing that with us. I believe it's in historical reenactment. And so she was actually so excited to do this with a crash scene. And I guess she has a reputation for doing it quickly, because she was able to get us through a lot faster than we thought that process would take.
You saw someone go in looking perfectly fine, and then you saw them come out with the blood and the glass and all the gashes that we had.
It felt kind of weird because it was really sticky. The fake blood was made out of like maple syrup and like corn syrup, so it was extremely sticky. Most of the makeup you actually couldn't really see in the film because most of it was on the right side of my face because I landed on the right side.
Seeing those students get made up in that, in their bruises and their arm gashes and facial wounds and glass on their face, I saw it all coming together. I couldn't believe how talented she was, and I couldn't believe that she made them look exactly how they should look for a car crash.
What was really cool about Kayla's involvement was she was scheduled to leave around noon, I believe, and then she, as we were kind of in the midst of it, she asked Miss Keck if she could come over to where the scene would be filmed and if she could hang around and just see the process and assist. And we were like, yes, absolutely. So she was so excited because she was like, usually people don't want to really go all out with the blood and the gore. But she was like being encouraged. Oh yes, go ahead, more blood, more blood.
So that was interesting. It was really eye-opening for me.
The makeup artist cut my sleeves just a little bit to make it look really realistic. My t-shirt, it was just really bloody. I was just laying in a pool of fake blood and it just got totally red and it's like never gonna come out now.
The actual day of on the car crash scene was so cool.
We're all social distancing, we all had the masks, and it was just a little bit different than what most people do, and it was fun. It was a fun and unique experience that I don't think any other crew or cast for Shattered Dreams will get.
As we went on, I think the more smoother we got. So by the end, by the crash scene, like everyone was just having so much fun because it was going so smoothly and we all knew what we were doing.
But having the crash cars on the set and all the actors and just a couple crewmates was just so fulfilling to me. I didn't think it was going to happen. I looked around, I saw everybody there in their protective gear, shooting from a distance, acting their part. And it was just one of those moments that a teacher looks forward to.
We were all there and it was like cool to see everything like happen. Like Alexis laying on the hood, that was really realistic.
Connor, when he got out of the car and he was just taking in and just feeling like, what have I done? All of a sudden coming face to face with the consequences, just seeing that as he fell on the curb there, that was so well acted. And to hear Brandon from the back seat, and when he was yelling and just like, that was very dramatic. To see Alexis, she laid out on the hood for a long time, and she was very convincing. And then Corinna, as she's trying to take in the whole thing and she's reporting on what she's seeing. And for students, I was so amazed at their work.
Even though we did have to be social distance, it was still probably the best part.
We had the cars from a junkyard set up out there. Zach got this smoke machine and he put it in between the cars. And so it looked like a wreck just happened.
The final scene was really kind of hard to film. One, it was so windy. And we did it like over and over and over again, which is pretty normal for filming, which I was pretty used to, but I think the crazy part was just seeing friends and people who I've known and grown up with all the blood and the makeup, and knowing that that was something that could actually happen. So it took a little bit of getting used to for me.
Going into it, I mean, I don't know how actors prepare for something like that, because it's such a scary thing to be a part of, to think that that could really happen to you, knowing that I was gonna have to scream and it was gonna have to be real, seem real. That really intimidated me, and I was praying on the ride over, just hoping that it was gonna come out naturally.
Oh gosh, since she's my real mom, it made me want to cry. Like she screams so well, like she's such a good actor. So when she first came out of the car and she started screaming and running over to me, that first take, of course you couldn't really tell, but I literally was like crying. Like my face was bloody, so you couldn't see the tears, but there were tears. Like it was so sad. And it made me want to just like never leave her. So sad.
I knew that having an 11-year-old, the victim at the drunk driving scene, was going to be uncomfortable for a lot of people, but it was extremely important to really get our message across. And I think that this part of the film did that.
Coming out of that car and just feeling the wind blowing all around me, it added to the drama. It just kind of put us in the scene. It was almost like some people would have paid to have fans blowing on us, but we didn't have to worry about that. We already had the wind, which was great.
The amount of energy that was on set that day was overwhelming. Everybody was excited. Everybody put their heart and soul into those final scenes, and you could tell.
There was actually a real whiskey bottle in one of the cars, and so it was kind of eerie to think that car was probably a drunk driver car as well. Kind of creepy.
In that van, when I first sat in it, there was trash, and there was just like what had been left from someone's accident. That was kind of like, wow, like this actually happened to someone. And I could relate, because with 4 kids, our van can be an absolute disaster with fast food wrappers and water bottles. Like just seeing this van just kind of trashed from this accident that had really happened, that did help me to get into character.
Coming together that day to do the final scene and seeing the way that everybody was adapting and seeing the way that everybody was willing to make sacrifices to make the final scene work was really inspiring.
Even though, we all had to be social distancing, just to be able to see people again, just be able to know that, everybody still had their heart in this, and like, even if we couldn't have all the other senior events, we still wanted to have this last thing. It was awesome that we were able to salvage it.
I can't tell you how impressive those hours were on the set that day at the crash. Just talent, respect, fun, professionalism. It was all there, and it all came together. Just an amazing feeling. When we premiered our film on that Friday, I could just feel the energy from the Zoom premiere. The message is important. The message is about drinking and driving, and a lot of times teens don't think that can affect them. They think that it happens to other people and not them. But this film is an important message to understand that it can happen to anybody.
I really hope that people will take away from the short film the fact that whenever people make the decision to drink and drive, it doesn't just affect them or the people like closest to them, like their friends. I really want that to sink in, just the gravity of that decision.
I want them to know and understand that, hey, my actions have consequences. That if I'm going to drink and if I decide to drive, something bad will happen. Maybe it won't happen immediately. Maybe it won't be as dramatic or tragic as stolen dreams, but every action has an equal and opposite reaction.
I hope people take this story seriously and realize that this is something that does happen every single day, and how important it is to realize when you drink that you shouldn't drive, or that you should have a backup plan or a designated driver?
To not drink and drive, you know, because that's obviously the main point of all of this. And now you can see what could happen if you drink and drive.
I would hope that by seeing these teenagers going through their day and, you know, some these things that they can relate to, other students can relate to, teenagers, that hopefully they will apply that and think about, you know, choices that they have, choices that are the difference between life and death. We don't always like to think that way, but those small choices have big consequences sometimes.
We knew we were going to offend some people having an 11-year-old die at the scene, but if you don't offend somebody, you're not going to make somebody think and change their mind when they go to make that decision.
I just want people to understand that something's going to happen if you make that choice. So don't make that choice.
You have to consider, like, not only does it affect that innocent party, like I said, but it affects, you know, everyone involved, like, that is family to that innocent party, and, you know, everyone that is around the car crash when it happens. There's so many factors that go into it.
Ultimately, if you ride with somebody who's been drinking, or if you are drinking and driving, somebody's going to get hurt at some point. It's going to be devastating to you, their families, and your future and their future. You have a choice to make.
Hopefully it will save someone's life by them having a change of heart about what decisions they'll make.
I would say that would be the main thing. But besides that, I would also hope that they would take away the sense of family. Well, family and friends. That's what I really try to communicate in the script, with all the, you know, different dialogue that I put in there, you know, and that scene between, you know, Griffin and Austin. You know, parts like that of the script. That's what I was really hoping for, that they would see that and they would think of, you know, their loved ones and what it would mean if those people were taken away from them.
The final product, I feel, is different, but to me, it's a piece of art and it's better than we could have ever expected. I feel like if your film doesn't make somebody happy or sad or uncomfortable or angry, then you're not doing your job as a filmmaker.
When I saw it, the finished product, I was just like, wow, like, that was amazing. Like, they looked so real in the accident.
I really enjoyed it. My family really enjoyed it. It sent out a really good message.
This is my first ever short film that I've ever produced, and it ultimately exceeded my expectations of, like, what we could ultimately create.
I think it was a great production. I hope Memorial gets a chance to do it again, but this time in real, like, live person. But I think with the situation that we had and with COVID-19 happening, I think it was like a job well done.
It is really such a great opportunity that I got to be able to be a part of this. Definitely not what I expected, but it turned out to be amazing.
I had a ton of fun working with everybody, especially Kaylyn, Zachary, and Ms. Keck. They did an amazing job putting together this whole film, especially with COVID, and I had such a fun time with Brandon, Connor, and Alexis. It was a blast. And I'm sorry that we didn't get to do our retreat, but I think what we did was still really, really cool.
I can say without a doubt, and I know a couple other students have said this, Connor Young said this was the dream team.
Thank you guys so much for letting me be a part of this experience.
I just can't say thank you enough to all the actors and crew and cast involved, all their families for their support for the entire time, and all their integrity while they were working. Thank you so much to all of you guys. I'm Ms. Keck, and I'm an extremely proud video production broadcast media teacher at Memorial High School. And if you haven't seen Stolen Dreams yet, you need to watch Memorial High School Stolen Dreams on YouTube. It's amazing.